All right, another embargo hath lifted, so let's go into some units today, talking about the new Dark Elf units. We're going to talk about the new Beastmaster, we're going to talk about all the Medusas, the Scourge Runner, and then, of course, we're going to end it on Malus Darkblade before we jump into a 1v1 battle alongside the mighty Indypride. Let's jump into these units and have some fun. Now, our first new unit is going to be just the new High Beastmaster. Wanted to start with the generic lord that was going to be added with the Shadow on the Blade DLC, and this guy is going to be mainly a powerhouse when it comes to hunting large monsters, which we have seen added in abundance in the most recent DLCs of late. Just taking a look at his weapon profile out the gate here, 25 bonus versus large. Now he can be mounted onto a Scourge Runner chariot to also give him ranged anti-large and AP, but in addition to that he can also be put onto a Manticore as well. Now he also has some very nice synergistic abilities as well. Like that word? Just kind of threw it out there. For one, he's got Beast Slaver, which is going to further increase his AP and weapon damage as well as his bonus versus large characteristic, but this is going to be coupled real nice with boom, the Tormentor Sword. He can lock down a large target as he comes into melee attack with it, and then pop back into, of course, the Beast Slaver here to really get a lot of damage coming out of him, focused on large creatures. Now, in addition to that, he can also buff up some of your larger creatures that you want on the battlefield doing a lot more damage. For instance, he has Whiplash, which increases the charge bonus, the weapon damage, the charge speed, and AP of all the creatures in the Dark Elf arsenal. So this can be really nice if you want to really drive a Manticore charge home, or you really actually even want to increase the abilities of a Cold One Knight. I mean, using this on that whole unit is going to make their charge bonus substantially better, as well as their AP and anti-large characteristics that they come out the gate with. So Whiplash is quite a nice character, a little tool to have. In addition to that, here we also have his Murder's yes, of course he has Murder's Prowess, but he gets the Feather Foe Torque here as well, minus 15 armor and melee defense to anyone in the radius around him if they're flying. See the part says target if flying unit. So you do have to be wary here that you can't just use this and expect to have it if he's on foot and you're fighting foot units. This is mainly aimed at anything in the air, which is also quite nice because, like I said, he can have a Manticore that's going to pair very well with it. It's like a nice Chianti. It'll just work well with it. Now, in addition to that, he does get whole stand your ground. I just wanted to showcase this is all that you can have on him. I've turned on all of his abilities. You can just see them here before you. Now, with the new Lord, we also get a new hero, the Master. Now, the Master differs from the Noble. I want to get a better shot on him there. Look at his armor, it's so sick. The Master differs from the Noble in that the Master is supposed to be more of a defensive role here. He has a halberd as well as a shield, giving him a nice silver shield with a good little bit of 55% damage or blocking of small arms fire. So that's quite nice here, right? He also has the Guardian passive that's going to give him that further kind of nod to the defensive characteristics of this character. 15% physical resistance is quite nice on him. In addition, though, he's going to get the typical kind of kit you get from a hero, right? Foe Seeker, as well as Deadly Onslaught, which is really going to help him. His weapon strength, he does have anti-large. Of course he does when he has a halberd on his right hand there. Nice 30 anti-large, no doubt, as well as some good AP damage. He also gets this little ditty, the Potion of Strength, giving him AP and weapon strength if you want to tack that onto him. And he also gets the Helm of Many Eyes. This kind of, if you remember when we took a look at Rapunzel, she gets some bonuses that are abilities that add to the some abilities that give perpetual bonuses to everything in a 40-meter radius around her, right? Well, the Helm of Many Eyes is going to be that exact same ability. So keeping this guy around your main character, using that Guardian passive, in addition, the Helm of Many Eyes is also going to benefit you with any unit you have in the front line that he's right next to, anything like that. But the big thing here, and the reason I think he's a better unit than the High Elf Noble, as it pains me to say, is that the Master can fly a Dark Pegasus. Now, of course, the Noble can fly a Great Eagle, but if he's flying a Dark Pegasus, he retains his AP and anti-large. And as we saw, it's a substantial amount of anti-large at 30. The Noble does not get that. In addition to that, yeah, sure, he's got missile resistance 15, and so does the Noble. All characters have it, but he also gets 55% small arms blocking because of his silver shield. So in my opinion, the Master is a better version of a Noble, and sure, he's a little bit tankier, not as much of a burst DPS. I think the Noble has 400 weapon strength. I can't remember off the top of my head. But at the same time, I think that the ability to have a flying anti-large AP hero is quite strong. And I think that we're going to start to see the Master a lot in some of the games that favor large creatures in their build. And I can't spend too much time on every little thing. Unfortunately, we are kind of relegated by the amount of time we can spend on this. Unfortunately, guys, I apologize that. But we do have the Scourge Runner Chariot, which is going to be the first new unit we're going to jump into. Now, as you can see, what differs from the Cold One Chariot and the Scourge Runner Chariot is this. Dark Horses. Dark Horses draw the mighty Scourge Runner Chariots. And I'll be honest with you, from a tabletop perspective, the Scourge Runner Chariot was very rare. And the Dark Elves were a very high played force. I think they were second or third as far as like the tiers went behind the Demons in 8th edition. So Scourge Runner Chariots, still pretty rare though. So even the Dark Elves being a highly played army, I didn't see very many Scourge Runner Chariots. But they have a really nice kit here. They get a lot of AP and a lot of anti-large built into their damage profile. 40 anti-large, quite spicy coming out of these guys. In addition, they also have fire whilst moving, and as you would expect, they're lovely Murderous Prowess, and they have bonus versus infantry because they're a chariot unit. They're going to be rolling right through things. So I think they are an amazing new addition to the Dark Elf line because you can use these guys to really hunt down, again, a lot of the larger creatures that were brought with the past DLCs. I think that's the kind of the name of the game for the Dark Elves when it comes to what's been brought to the table for them. It's a ton of anti-large. Even look at the Ravagers of Rakarth, right? We talked about Beastmaster Rakarth, so this is kind of a nice nod to him. These guys have a nice little cool look going on with them, nice little gold there, this patina. But they have the same profile. 40 bonus versus large, 40 AP, but this time, boom, they get a poison. So they're going to be able to slow things down, really get up to the close and personal, and just do tons of damage. In addition to, they get Barbed Net, which is a hex that will also slow the speed of anything around them, as well as a missile resistance. So for anything in 45 meters around these guys is going to be slowed down substantially. So it's quite nice at really chasing down a large creature so you can do the most damage to it possible. I'm actually really, really excited for the Scourge Runner Chariot just to kind of see how useful they are on the battlefield. Now, we also have the new Medusa, the Blood Rack Medusa here. And she's huge. Indypride and I were talking about this. We didn't expect her to be this big. And she is monstrous. I love the directions that they've taken with her. And she has a lot of amazing abilities. Obviously, she's going to be causing terror because she's a fucking Gorgon. But in addition to that, we're going to be seeing a lot of AP damage coming out of her at 375 with a lot of explosive damage. Look at that. 120 base explosive damage as well as 60 AP damage. Going to be causing some magic damage as well. And she's really no slouch in combat. 390 AP, which is quite nice, and her melee defense a little low at 34. Her armor is also low at 30, so you do want to kind of keep her well supported. But she's going to be quick on the draw here at 58 speed. She can kind of move around the battlefield quite quickly to get to where she needs to get. But the real gem of the Blood Rack Medusa is the Siren of Red Ruin. Look at them glowing eyes. Ooh. The real thing here is the Whale of Malus, which just does so much damage to units around her. It does only last for 7 seconds, but a good 30-meter radius. She's already kind of a short-range support style range unit, much like we get with the Sepulchral Stalkers with the Tomb Kings. So she does have a little bit more, I think it's 75 more damage on her missile because it's a faster reload speed. But look at that. Again, 120 base explosion with 60 AP. She's going to be doing a lot of damage. I think that the Siren of Red Ruin is really going to make a huge appearance in the meta for the Dark Elves in the kind of coming months up until the next DLC when things kind of shift again. Now, we get a new Regiment Renown. Take a look at these. Take a look at these chicas. The Crows of Cain, the new Regiment Renown Harpies. Now, they do, of course, have a slightly better profile because they are a rank 9 unit, but they get Crow Feast, which allows them to replenish hits while they're in combat. So basically like a watered-down version of a vampire's hunger. So with the ability to also cause fear, they've got Vanguard deployment. I think that these are a really nice unit because I think they're only 700, 800 points, if I can remember correctly. They're going to be doing what they do best. It's a lot of really quick, hard and fast damage to a backline unit. Now, of course, they don't have a lot of armor. They can get focused down quite quickly, but they're such a low-cost unit that they trade very well upwards for their value. So, a very nice unit nonetheless. Now, our last new unit, before we go into Malus Darkblade, is the Blood Rack Shrine. Look at this. Look at this. Now, it is kind of funky here. If I take this, put that there, like, that's quite a bit of a size discrepancy, but still. The Blood Rack Shrine was the dual kit with the Blood Shrine of Cain. You can either build one or the other, right? So the Blood Rack Shrine is going to be that same kind of missile damage that we expect out of the Blood Rack Medusa. See, it's the same exact profile, 375. In fact, I think it's the same damage and everything. Yeah, to the T. Now, also does anti-infantry because it is a chariot. It is going to be rolling through things hot and dirty. It does cause terror. It does have some magic resistance of 25 and missile resistance, which is nice because it is going to get focused down. You can guarantee it. They like the way you look. The Blood Rack Medusa guarantees it. Also gets two nice abilities here. The Aura of Ardor, which is going to buff your all of your army. 7 melee attack and 4 leadership and a 40-meter radius around the Blood Rack Medusa. And Aura of Agony, which is going to reduce the leadership and the melee defense of anything around you. So, if you were to stack these two together, take a look at this again one more time. Helm of Many Eyes, 7 armor, 5 melee attack. Then Aura of Ardor, you're going to get a total of 12 melee attack, 7 armor, and 4 leadership. That's a nice little set of bonuses you can kind of stack on top of each other to really get a lot of benefit out of some of the new things that have been added. Let's jump and take a look over at Malus Darkblade and some of his awesome abilities. Alright, and now time for the character I think that everyone really wants to know the most about, Big Bad Malus Darkblade. Now, I wish he had a shield. In all of his art, he had a shield, but let's take a look at this guy. So he has a beautiful amount of stats, like 60 melee attack, 60 melee defense. Taking a look at his AP values, 315 AP. He is beefy. I'm going to press start battle here because we're going to do something in just a little bit. But he also gets his nice Warp Sword of Cain, which replenishes his health and gives him 5% damage resistance. Now, we've talked about this in the past, how just insanely powerful replenishing health is for Legendary Lords. It makes them insane. It makes them immediately competitive because they can just stay in the fight a lot longer. In addition to that, he also gets the 5% damage resistance onto it, so it's really nice. Built into his package, he also gets a nice little bit of fear. That's always cool. Now, he also gets Zarkan, which we'll talk about in just a bit. Now, Demon's Curse is huge. It does a lot of damage, of course, or it does a little bit of damage, of course, but 24 reduction to melee defense, a reduction to leadership. It has got so much utility built into it because you can then couple it, boom, with the blood price. So this is going to do some damage to you again as well. Not a big deal. We'll talk about why that's not a big deal in a little bit. But a 60% buff to your AP and your weapon damage, in addition to a 22% damage resistance buff, is just juicy. You're going to be able to get so much utility from Malus because he can just stay in the fight for so long. Also, you know, you get Deadly Onslaught because you can trip these two at the same time for a total of 85% AP damage bonus and normal weapon damage bonus, of course, with a good chunk increase to your charge bonus, which is already at 65. So you can get, if you time these right, you can get a lot of initial burst right off the first charge with Malus, and then keep him in the fight for the long haul. And the reason why is, once Malus really gets low in health, you want to do this. You want to send him into Super Saiyan mode. Immediately. Oh yeah, Super Saiyan Zarkan is here to stay, and look at him. He just looks insanely badass. So let's pause this here real quick just in case someone kind of sneaks up on us to try and do damage. What happens? He gains Frenzy. Boom. He's unbreakable. He's immune to Psychology. I mean, he gets so many just juicy things right out the gate here, right? Where is it? Okay, so he also gets Bloodstorm, and then he gets Reaper of Souls. So let's take a look at these two abilities. For one, Reaper of Souls is going to do a nice bit of direct damage all around him. It's going to be siphoning life at the same time, so it's just like Soul Stealer. You're going to be using this at low health because if you transform to Zarkan at low health, you pop into this Malus Darkblade Zarkan model, which has got, again, the full health. You basically get 2 Legendary Lord charges, more or less, right? It's like Heart of Avalorn, but guaranteed to go off as long as you remember to micro it, and guaranteed to just kick the shit out of things. So Reaper of Souls is great, but what happens if you get surrounded? What happens if you start getting a real beatdown going? Oh, well, he's got Bloodstorm, and that's going to give him a 22% damage resistance bonus at the same time. Let's look at what Bloodstorm looks like. It's a really cool ability. Let's get a look here. Oh, look at that sword too. Boom! And all the purple, black, white awesomeness of all the Dark Elf effects. We also can pop a Reaper of Souls here. So he does have all these amazing abilities, and I think it makes Malus Darkblade very, very strong. Now, I don't think he is right for every single scenario that the Dark Elves see themselves in. I think while he is a really cool character and a really good character, I think there are going to be certain matchups that he thrives in versus others. Like, I think that there are times when you're going to want to bring Malekith still. I don't think that Malus is going to trump all the other lords from here on out, but I think that because of his durability, because of his utility, matching all the new utility added with this DLC, he's really going to be able to really shine in the coming months for the multiplayer meta, and especially his campaign and all that sort of awesome action to come. So let's see how this guy actually performs in a battle. Indypride and I are going to duke it out for a little bit here, but we're going to jump over to that, and we're going to see how this all kind of pans out. So now that we've gone through the units, let's see them all in action in a quick battle. Indypride and I are going to be duking it out on this brand new map. We'll take a look at the map as well. I'm going to be playing the Dark Elves alongside Indypride's Lizardmen. So let's see how this pans out. We can see that we're already going to be looking at Malus Darkblade on this map. Now, we have already kind of gone through his units, and I don't have a whole ton of time, so I'm going to kind of skirt through everything quite quick. More go over the builds and not the individual abilities, so on and so forth. But, you know, we've got all the great things from Malus Darkblade. We've got his Warp Sword of Cain. We've got his Demon's Curse, his Blood Price, all the cool goodies that he gets. In addition to that, we're also going to be seeing the Siren of Red Ruin, the new Bloodrack Medusa, Regiment of Renown. Her ability is, you're going to see how awesome it is. It is so, there we go. It is so devastating. The Whale of Malice just does a chunk of damage, and even her range attack is so strong, and you'll see that kind of coming to great effect in this fight. One thing I will kind of say here is that I was quite pregnant off of Italian food from my birthday, so please excuse any terrible micro, as there will be some. But for the front line, we went with 4 units of Bleak Swords, 2 units of Dread Spears, the Sinesh's Harvesters, as well as a Cold One Knight, a unit of Cold One Knights, and we have a Sorcerer Beast with Transformation of Caton, as well as an Amber Spear. Now, for Indypride's army, you're going to be able to see... Oh, yeah, press the wrong button there. You're going to be able to see... Look at that little ancient salamander. It's going to be doing some bullshit here in a second. I'm going to actually kind of angle so we can see that. But we're going to have 3 units of Taurus Warriors, 2 units of Cohort Skinks. We're going to see the Pop-Hop Cohort. That's going to be able to do some fun little damage, as well as the Legion of Chakwa, which is going to give some nice missile resistance. And these guys, a Razor Dawn Hunting Pack to add some AP damage alongside the Regiment Renown version, the Amaxan Barbs. Now we're also... Dude, look at that. See, that's what I meant. Look at that first shot of those Bleak Swords. So much damage. But we also have a Slann Mage Priest of Fire with Flaming Skull, Fireball, and the Cloak. I keep wanting to say Flaming Sword of Ruin, but that is not that icon. Oh god, this is the worst. There it is. Haha, Cascading Fire Cloak. So 2 shots already into our Dread Spears and Bleak Swords, knocking out chunks of damage there. That is quite a hefty price to pay. Looking to move some anti-large over in that direction. One thing I didn't focus on for my army, though, is the 2 units of Scourge Runner Chariots. Now, we do have the Regiment Renown version, the Ravagers of Rakarth, which is, of course, the Beast Lord from lore that we know about. Take a look at this map, though. Like, this thing is so cool. You have this big, awesome demon portal that goes right to Marathi's bedroom. You have all sorts of just amazing, you know, waterfalls of blood. A very good tourist destination. We can already see that our units are trying to make their way downtown, getting just mulched apart right now by some initial damage, but they are just Bleak Swords and Dread Spears. They can take that kind of initial shock. Now the Sinesh's Harvester is looking to kind of get over in this left portion, do some charging, but here's our first little big charge. Little big charge, as I'm going to call it. Fading away, those skink cohorts marching back up the hill, looking to screen into the Saurus Warriors here, who are just going to make short work of these Bleak Swords. Look at them just get into that. They go for the jump, but those Saurus Warriors are going to take the face off all those Dark Elves. So, seeing how this kind of plays itself out here, we do still have this Scourge on our chariot. It is going to be taking a target in onto the Scar veterans. Indypride got a great charge into my Cold One Knights. I was not focusing on them, and he got right into the rear. That's going to just shut them down. And the whole purpose of those Cold One Knights was to be used against the Scar veteran, unfortunately. We can already see, though, that big old Malus Darkblade is just jumping into the fray here. Look at him just, like, headbutting things away. Him and Spite are just in it to win it. You can see the shots coming out from the Medusa. And kind of focus on her shots when she shoots them so you guys can see what they look like. I really want you to be able to see that. The sick sound, too, like a... Like, I love that. And look at that. It does like 2 shots. It does a lot of damage to them. Malus has got a new target, though. He's pushing through. We can see our Sorceress of Beasts already pushing through as well. Looking to get a good summon of Transformation of Cain right onto the Slann Mage Priest of Fire. And the Slann Mage Priest is taking some shots from the Scourge Runner Chariot. The Scourge Runner Chariot, as we saw earlier, does have a lot of anti-large. But look at this. That's the first hit onto the Slann Mage Priest. Demon's Curse giving him so much reduction to melee defense and to leadership. I mean, he gets hit so hard from Malus's first initial charge. It's pretty awesome. So that gives you kind of a sense for how devastating Malus can actually be on the charge in prolonged combat. He's got quite a bit of tanky characteristics as well, especially when he transforms, which we'll see towards the end of this fight. But Transformation of Cain starting to wear off here as our Fatal Manticore gets charged in now too by some anti-large. You can see the Scourge Runner Chariot is just hitting into the Legion of Chakwa as well as the Siren of Red Ruin. I almost called it the Blood Tide, which is not right. Boom! See, look at that. Just huge chunk of explosion AP damage into the Legion of Chakwa. Wait for it again. It's coming out pretty soon here. I just love the sound effect on that thing. And I mean, honestly, Malus is in a pretty bad engagement right there. The Legion of Chakwa does not do AP damage, but you don't want any kind of anti-large on your large model right there. Man, like, look at that thing. Look at the ruin that it brings out when it shoots. I love those new Medusas. I think they're going to be really awesome. In all honesty, Indypride and I are talking about this during this fight. We both heavily agree that the Medusa, especially the Siren of Red Ruin, is the biggest showcase of this entire DLC. It gets the most value for its cost. It does a lot of damage. It's very tanky in and of itself. It causes terror. It's got a lot of really cool things going for it, especially the Malus thing that she has, like the Blood Gaze of Malus, whatever it is. We'll see that in a little bit once it kind of gets closer in, but we can see here that we're getting that Fatal Manticore onto the Slann Mage Priest, trying to get that guy down. We do have a good charge here into the Ancient Salamander as well, getting a chunk of damage coming out from Malus Darkblade. We're going to take a look at his stat profile here. It's going to change in a little bit. I wonder why. But just kind of... Oh, there. Oh, we're getting to a point about that point, if I can remember properly. The name of her actual ability. There we go. Look at that. The Whale of Malus. Now that's just going to be doing some consistent damage to everything around her, so she can be used very well in like kind of a short-range support type role, where she is directly behind the front line, trying to get some damage out to the heavier, harder hitting portions of the army, and then popping that whale to just do even more. Malus Darkblade here, though, jumping into the Slann Mage Priest, trying to get that guy down, trying to at least just shut down some sort of win for my engagement here. Always big on getting at least the Lord if you can. But boom! Super Saiyan, Malus Darkblade, and we get the big Zarkan himself. Now, take a look at this. 96 melee attack, 512 weapon strength, 86 charge bonus. He's already used Reaper of Souls here. It's going to be doing damage to everything. It's like that Soul Eater type effect where it's doing damage and it's replenishing his health. Like, that is so beastly. In addition to that, he does have, boom, there it is, Bloodstorm, which is going to give him a nice 22% damage resistance buff, as well as Explode, and help trying to get him out of this engagement. But those Razor Dawns are just staying on the Dark Lord, keeping him in combat there, preventing him from being able to kind of get out of this fight, unfortunately. And that is going to spell not so great of a situation for the mighty Malus Darkblade. Taking a look at the rest of this fight here, we can see Scourge Runner Chariots are still shooting off on targets, not so many on high-value targets like the large that they can be shooting towards. For instance, of course, Ravagers of Rakarth, they get anti-large shots on their harpoons, I believe. That was something of that sort. Ooh, where are you guys? Oh, you're just getting completely gibbed apart. It's so hard to target some things sometimes. Oh well. Well, you get the point. It does do AP damage as well as poison, which is really nice on them. Anti-large on the Scourge Runner Chariot over here. I believe the harpoon, though, on the Rakarth does do damage. We were taking a look at that in the previous portion. of this video, so we'll recap that, of course, in there in that portion of the video if you want to go take a look at it. But taking a look here, we can see that Indypride thoroughly pushed my head underwater and would not let me come up for air. 145 whopping kills out of that Ancient Salamander, but take a look at this. 74 from the Siren of Red Ruin, just chunking damage with every shot. Now, this is not a great representation of how strong Malus Darkblade is in both a dueling scenario or when surrounded by infantry, because he can make short work of those situations and push out of them quite well. When you're using Malus, you always want to make sure that you don't transform him to Zarkan until the very end, or, I'm sorry, end of his health, because putting him into Zarkan replenishes his health, and on top of it, you want to make sure that you're doing that in a high value situation where you get the most out of that transformation. But guys, I'm so excited for the continued coverage of this DLC. We've got a lot of stuff coming in the future here, so be on the lookout for some videos just deciding whether or not a campaign is for you. We'll be doing the same thing we did last DLC. We'll also be doing our first 20 turns guides that we've doing that we've done in the past. If you are looking to pick up the Shadow and the Blade DLC, you're going to see a link to Fanatical Games. You can go ahead and buy through there. It actually helps the channel out. I get a commission from it, but you simply get a Steam key that you can pop into Steam anyway. So if you plan on picking it up, go ahead and use that link if you want to support the channel. You're going to find it in the description as well as the first comment. It's going to be a pinned comment, and you can go ahead and purchase the game through there and support the channel through that. And it's a great way to get the game if you already plan on getting it. If you don't feel comfortable going through Fanatical, not a big deal, no worries. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.